Two is career priorities. They said men may prioritize their careers and believe marriage will interfere with their professional goals. That was big. That was big for me too. When I was in my 30s, I was very much a workaholic, and I was trying to start my business. And I remember thinking, I don't really know if I would be a good husband if I'm working 10, 12 hours a day, and I wouldn't want to deal with the stress of somebody who made me feel guilty about that. And also, being an entrepreneur involves a lot of economic volatility. And I remember feeling like, gosh, I don't really know. I really didn't want my dream to get killed by somebody who's saying, you're being irresponsible because you put money into your business when your family needs that money, right? So rather than dealing with that, I just said, you know what? I'm just not gonna participate right away because I don't feel comfortable doing that. Now, if the world was different, or if my life had been different, let's say I'd met somebody who said, look, I'll ride with you no matter what, I'm going to support you in what you're doing no matter what, then I probably would have considered marriage in that context, right? I think it's that supporting someone's dreams goes a very long way, but then also you want to be aware of what dream am I supporting? Am I supporting your dream to do something that I consider to be meaningful and realistic and whatever, or am I supporting your dream to be a 62-year-old rapper, who's never gotten a record deal before? Well, that's hard, right? That's really hard. It's, we have an oversupply of 45 and 50-year-old rappers, who haven't been able to make a nickel from busting rhymes yet, right? So that can be kind of difficult for people who don't have the resources that they need. So I think that supporting dreams is really important. I think that if you are a dream killer, that's going to make someone resent you. They're not going to want to be married to you. But you can't support just anything. So I think that this is where the vetting process comes into play. So I can say, okay, what am I getting into? What am I supporting here? Okay, you're telling me that you want to do this and this and this. Tell me more about it. And if I feel like it works and it's realistic, then I think at that point, I have no choice but to be supportive. Because if I'm not supportive, then I don't really know what kind of energy that's going to create in a relationship, right? I know that we feel like we're holding people accountable and we're being realistic with them and whatever, and I have a say in what you do. But I will say this: one of the best things that my father taught me when I was a kid is, like, pick your battles, right? Like generally with women, and the things women want to do, you want to try to find a way to be supportive. So with anything my wife wants to do, my thought is, how do I support that? Right? Sure, I know I can make an objection if I want to. I know that I could probably have a voice and say something, but every time I use my voice, there's a penalty. There's a price I pay for that. It says this is like AI. They say, I don't know if y'all know this, but there's going to be an energy shortage because of AI. Why? Well, because every time you do an AI query, it requires a certain amount of energy. Like they said that drawing an image on ChatGPT takes the same energy that it takes to run a light bulb for like 5 minutes or something crazy like that, right? So every time I step up and say, I don't want you to do that, right? And you need to respect me because I'm your husband. Sure, she might do it, but I'm burning some capital every time I do that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm creating a little bit of resentment there. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this because you're my husband, but me doing it doesn't mean I inherently agree or feel uh, connected to whatever your logic is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'll do this because you told me to, but I'm not doing it because I'm happy. So you're making me a little less happy every time you tell me not to do something that I really want to do. Right. So I think, one of the things to consider is, when you vet what you're getting into, then you're kind of in advance preparing for the battles that you're going to end up facing later on. So, but if you haven't thought about that, then what happens is you're with this person who's doing all this shit that doesn't make any sense to you, that's driving you crazy, and you're speaking up about it, and all it's doing is just creating problems and resentment. So I will say this: if I'd met someone in my early 30s who was connected to my goals, who listened to me, understood me at that level, and was really super supportive, I probably could have gotten married, because then I would know I could go in with the emotional security of knowing that you're going to have my back even if the money's not good. And I think a lot of men appreciate that. And I would encourage women to consider that kind of thing when you're searching for a husband, or you're trying to get that guy to want to marry you or something. I personally think that big dreamers, ambitious men, ambitious women really appreciate people that really have their back, because the journey is already hard without having the person right next to you shitting on your goals every chance that they get. That is not going to make them more connected to you. Anyway, let me go back in here. Let me read more. Other reasons that men don't get married. They said desire for independence. Many men value their independence and may fear that marriage will restrict their personal freedom and lifestyle. 5, negative past experiences. Bad experiences in past relationships or seeing other marriages fail can make men reluctant to marry.